Welcome back. So this is day 5 of Crafty Days of Christmas 2025, and this is Jill Priest from Papercraft Blessings. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. So I've got another card to show you today, and slightly different style for me. I thought I'd go for something with a sort of Scandinavian-ish style to it. So I came up with this one. I thought the Stay Warm stamps lend themselves to these little rows, so I'm going to have a go at that. Now, I'm using 3 different stamping ink colours. We have Cherry Cobbler, that lovely deep red, Real Red, and Crumb Cake. I'll pop them by there. And obviously this Stay Warm stamp set. These are actually reversible stamps, which basically means that if you turn it over, so instead of sticking it to the stamping block with the details downwards, so that you get this kind of image, or that one on this particular image, if you put it on your block the other way up, you can use this side to give yourself a solid image. So you would get this one here. I haven't actually used that particularly on this card, but it's a nice feature of these particular type of stamps. Okay, let's pop that out of the way. So for my card base, I have used Crumb Cake, and it's again a standard size card base, so it's half a sheet of A4, 21 centimetres by 14.85 centimetres, scored in the middle at 10.5. Get that a bit straighter, there we go, and just burnish that fold. There we go. So the next layer is Cherry Cobbler. It's lovely dark red. I think this is one of my favourite colours. I really like this. It's kind of elegant. And I'm going to stick that one straight onto my Crumb Cake card base. So this layer is 14.35 centimetres in this direction and 10 centimetres in this direction. Okay, nice and central. Card's got a bit rocked there. Okay, let's pop that lid on the glue for the minute. Right, so the next layer, I've chosen to use basic beige instead of white because I think it gives just a little bit more of a softer look to it. And we're going to stamp this one before we attach it. So now the rows are much easier to stamp if you've got some guidelines. So I've got myself a soft pencil and a ruler. So the first line I want about 2 inches down, so somewhere around there, extending across to the top corner, and just gently give myself a pencil line there. Obviously don't press too hard because you want to be able to rub it out afterwards. That's a good point actually. Let me get my eraser so that I'm ready to go with that. There it is. Pop that handy, we'll need that in a minute. Right, so this first batch is going to be about 2.5 centimetres wide. So let's make a little mark here. These don't have to be very accurate, but I just find that the lines help me to keep everything a little bit straighter. There we go. The next one I'm going to have slightly deeper, so this one is going to be 4.5. Oops, back a bit so I can actually make the mark. There. And there. Lovely. Then another 2.51. Good. I'm going to leave that gap just above. I want another 2.5 here. So just a little line this one. There it is. So I've got my series of diagonal stripes, which is where I'm going to put my stamps. Grab my stamping mat. Now that's going underneath because these stamps will go over the edge, and you can tell where I've been using the stamps on my piece of paper already, so just ignore that, eh? Okay, so I'm going to start with Cherry Cobbler. Just pop that by there, and I'm going to use the heart one. Tap, tap, tap. Ink that up. I'm going to start in the middle of my stripe and just hold it so that the stripe is horizontal, because it's just easier to stamp that way. Put that in the middle of the stripe and follow the stripe along. That was a bit low. But then nobody said it had to be perfect. There we go. So that's my heart-shaped, my heart stripe. Let's just dab off the excess ink and then clean that off straight away. I do find that the darker, especially red coloured inks, tend to stain, so I try and clean that off as quickly as possible. Let's take that one off. Right, and I want a row of mittens, so that's going to go on this row here. Again, start in the middle of the row. Fairly close together and lined up as much as you can. There we go. Make sure you do the ones that are off the edge there, because that just makes it look like a nice continuous row then. Just dab off the excess ink on that one. And give it a clean. Okay, so that's, yeah, I'm going to put the cherry cobbler away for now, and we'll go on to the crumb cake. Okay, let's use the other mitten and pop it in this row across here. So again, keeping the row straight and stamping so you're parallel That's not very good, was it? It was a bit high. Bit messy that one, but it does the job. Jolly good. Clean that one off as well. Oh. Has that got it all? Yes. Good, good. Okay, I'm also going to use the hat in crumb cake. So that can go down the bottom here. Just a smidge there. That's it. No, that's off the edge, so we don't need that. Ugh. I've got everything. Right, just pop that one out the way and clean off my hat. That's it. That's the hat done. Okay. Let's go back to cherry cobbler just to finish up this little bit here. Okay. Cherry cobbler finished. Clean, clean, clean. Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. There we go. In fact, I'm going to put that sock onto this block. This is a nice size block to use. There we go. Right, now with the real red, it comes out fairly similar in colour to the cherry cobbler. So I thought I'd make a little bit of differentiation between the two by doing what we call stamping off. Now with Stampin' Up inks, if I just show you here, this would be first generation. So quite a marked, fairly dark red. If I then stamp it again, you get a much lighter version, and in fact you can go on stamping and stamping for quite a while, getting gradually paler and paler. That's one of the beauties of the Stampin' Up inks, is that they will go on those lighter shades. So what I'm going to do is stamp it second generation, so this one across this gap here. Just line it up so that's quite straight. So once on the paper and once on the cardstock. Paper, cardstock. Oop. Bit more on that heel. There we go. Paper, cardstock. Paper, cardstock. Paper, cardstock. Now you can see why I've got so many socks on my piece of paper. One more. Just use the tip of it there. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's get rid of the excess ink on the stamp and clean that one up as well. It's always a good idea to clean your stamps as you go along, and you don't have to clean them all at the end. Right, so I've got my background done now, so I need to remove those lines. Obviously start with the ones that you stamped closer to the beginning, so you're not rubbing on any ink that is still wet. Unfortunately, the ink dries fairly quickly, so it's not too much of a problem. By the time I've rubbed out these other lines, then the middle ones will be fine to remove as well. There we go. That's it. So we've got our background. Let's bring back the card base and stick that on. Oh, come on, glue. Why are you gummed up today? Bother. Right. I'm just going to have to free that glue, so... Find myself a pen. Just declog that. There we go. Mucky, mucky. Make sure I wipe that off in a minute. Definitely flowing freely now, she says. Come on. What is wrong with you? Okay, I'm just going to use another little trick that sometimes works. Sometimes there's a little bit of glue just stuck into the tip of the... yeah, there we go. Stuck into the tip of the nozzle. Yeah, that's got it going. There we are. Squiggle those areas where we've got some big blobs. I've got very mucky fingers now. And sticky hands. Oh well. The cost of crafting. So I was in church this morning doing candles, which is what we call our creche children, and they are 0s to 3s. So the two lovely children we had in today were both about a year old, and they enjoyed making fuzzy Christmas trees by sticking pom-poms on, and we did a lovely lift up present which said God gives the best presents, and when you lift the flap up, underneath there was a picture of baby Jesus. So that was really lovely. I had a wonderful time with those two lovely children in church today. Okay, so for my sentiment, I have chosen this lovely Peace, Love and Joy. Now this comes from the Peace on Earth stamp set. It's this one here. It's all in one, but you could just stamp the peace and then stamp Love and Joy underneath. And what I've done here is I've stamped it in Versamark ink and then heat embossed with white, so it comes out lovely and glossy on this little offcut of cherry cobbler cardstock. So I'm just going to make that a little bit narrower because I think that's a wee bit too wide. So let's just trim that down. Probably be better to measure it, but I'm going to do it by eye and see what we get. too bad. Long bladed scissors definitely help for this. Yep, I'm happy with that. Just snip off the end. Oop. Quite. There we go. Snip that off at an angle. And then this end, try and get a similar angle. There we go. We have our peace, love and joy. Let's get rid of the remnants. So just to make this look a little bit softer, because it looks a bit bare still at the moment, I've used a little piece of matching basic beige ribbon. This is the basic beige bordered ribbon, and it is 1 centimetre wide or 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to lay a little piece underneath the sentiment in a little kind of zigzag. So what I do first of all is grab myself a piece of tear and tape. Where is the end? There it is. Okay, so that where I'm going to put my sentiment, and just put a little piece of tape underneath. Snip that off. And burnish it on nice and firm. I love tear and tape. It's such a lovely, strong, controllable sticky. There we go. So I've got my little piece of sticky there. Let's arrange this ribbon how we might like it to look. Something like that. One of the good things about tear and tape is that it's not mega sticky. So it's enough to hold it, but if you feel like this loop isn't big enough, or you want to make it smaller, or whatever you want to do with it, you can just peel it up and put it back down again. I tend to like to try and make this one parallel with this one, just because it gives a nice effect. And then that one's going to go over the top there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I will use my little sharp scissors because these are fabulous for cutting ribbon. There we go. Right, and I want to put my peace, love and joy on some dimensionals. Let's flip that over. Now, as you can see, I've used quite a lot of the dimensionals on here, but I've still got all this edge. So I'm going to use up some edge for my sentiment strip. Just snip a few bits off there. And pop that down. So some on each end. And a piece in the middle. There we go, that's plenty of dimensionals. Take off the backings. There we go, and just pop that over the ribbon so you're hiding your piece of tear and tape that you put on earlier. Make sure that's nice and straight. Yep, I'm happy with that. That's good. I think we still need a bit more embellishment on it there. So I've pulled out these really cute little peppermints. They're in real red, so they will blend nicely. These are, yeah, they're called real red and white adhesive packed peppermints. And I believe they are still current, so you can get these. Here's my take your pick tool. And I'm going to arrange them around the centre point there, to there. And a big one on the other side. Just there, I think. Okay, press them down nice and firm. Excellent. Just pop that ribbon away. Good. So that's today's card. I hope you like it. As I say, a little bit of a different style for me, but I quite enjoyed that. Just like doing something a bit different. And the Keep Warm, I keep calling it Keep Warm, it's called Stay Warm stamp set. Yeah, it just gives a nice cosy feeling. So that's cool. Yeah, many blessings to you all. Thank you for watching. And hopefully I'll see you again soon for another episode of Crafty Days of Christmas. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.